Hello, this is Mac, and I was going to tuck this into my last video, but I feel this is too important to gloss over. So, with government insurance, you can't just ask for surgery, you need proof, such as prior authorizations, medical necessity, and a paper trail. And the reason why I'm covering this is because DeeDee has been accused of medical abuse, or Munchausen by proxy, doctor shopping, and the claims being made that doctors just did procedures because DeeDee said so. That story falls apart the second you look at how care really works. With government insurance, surgeries and devices require medical necessity and prior authorization codes, notes, test results, and audits. There's a paper trail. Doctors also knew from birth that Gypsy had a chromosomal disorder. The specific 1q21.1 microdeletion wasn't even described until 2008, and she was diagnosed in 2011. So the earlier tests and procedures were a diagnostic odyssey, not a performance. This is about receipts because the claim that DeeDee talked doctors into surgery is ridiculous. In government-insured care, you need proof. Let's walk through this paper trail. So, government insurance, like Medicaid and disability-linked plans, run on rolls. Doctors submit diagnosis codes, ICD, or procedure codes, CPT or HCPCS, plus clinical notes and test results. Then utilization management terms and nurses and doctors review whether it's medically necessary. So what prior authorization really asks for? Well, a typical prior auth asks for a diagnosis, what the tests show, what treatments were tried and what failed, who is the doctor and facility, why is this procedure necessary now. If they're not convinced, they deny it or request a peer-to-peer call. There are also appeals. And now let's go over doctor shopping versus coordinated care. Doctor shopping is a buzzword usually about controlled meds. Government plans actually reduce doctor shopping by requiring primary care referrals, in-network specialists, and sometimes care managers. Every visit, test, prescription, and device creates a traceable record. Next is durable medical equipment and meds. Equipment like wheelchairs, feeding pumps, even certain braces need a face-to-face exam or a letter of medical necessity, and even often a trial. Pharmacies hit prior authorization flags for many meds. PDMP monitors controlled substances. None of this moves forward without documentation. Okay, now fraud control and audits. Plans run pre-payment edits and post-payment audits. Claims get checked against policy rules and coding edits. So odd patterns trigger reviews. So if something's fabricated, it eventually conflicts with another record and the red flags pop up. And what's really baffling to me is doctors like Dr. Steele and Dr. Fabian know exactly how the government insurance works. But I made this for the people who don't know, and are more likely to believe the lies that are being told by Gypsy and those around her. Like you can just doctor shop your way through surgeries, except you can't. The paperwork won't let you. In GRB's case, doctors knew from birth about her chromosomal disorder. Her microdeletion wasn't described until 2008, and again, she wasn't diagnosed until 2011. That's why earlier tests and procedures were a diagnostic odyssey, because it was legit medical care for real symptoms that Gypsy had. With government insurance, those procedures wouldn't get approved without medical necessity and paperwork, and that's not doctor shopping. That's how medicine does its job. So here's what proof looks like. If someone says they faked it, ask for the receipts. Ask for the prior authorization letters, denial approval notices, clinical notes, imaging, DME approvals, EOB claims, and pharmacy prior authorization records. If a story can't produce those across multiple providers and payers, it's not proven, and it's an outright lie. I personally know how this system works because I live it. I've been on Social Security disability for the last 25 years due to rheumatoid arthritis. It's incurable, and I don't tell you this for sympathy, but for DeeDee. When I can find value from my struggle with this, I do. So I'm sharing this to prove how chronic and curable conditions actually work in this system. And best believe I've tried a lot of therapies and meds. I did the prior auth, the step therapy. I have labs every 3 to 4 months because some of the meds, from the RA can harm the organs. But my point is, it's part of my medical therapy. I do appointments with my rheumatologist every 3 to 4 months. And just finding a specialist that you feel comfortable with is a process. It is a lot. And there were times when I thought I'd never feel better. There were times I thought I would never find a medicine that works for me. And it can feel never ending because it is. Government insurance is paperwork heavy on purpose. It protects patients and funds. In this system, doctor shopping and faking don't survive the documentation test. Because I can tell you with 100% certainty that paperwork and medical necessity are real. There are step-by-step processes to figure out what you have and how to treat it. Doctor shopping and faking it, or do it because I said so, just does not survive the documentation. So give us the receipts and stop with the Munchausen by proxy narrative. Because Gypsy Rose Blanchard is lying about it all.